Hello and welcome to the beautiful Sport Optics studio, ladies and gentlemen. As always, I'm your host, Jace, and today we're going to be talking about a couple of cool new products from Swarovski, so sit back and get excited for that. And as always, do not forget that Sport Optics is your premier dealer for some of the finest optics available in North America. So if you enjoy or learn anything about what we talk about today or anything else we might carry, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Make sure to reach out, ask us questions. That is what we're here for. Now, with all of that out of the way, let's get into it. So today we're going to be talking about the AT and ST balance. Now, the ATX, STX line and the ATC, STC mini spotters have been around for a while. They're literally some of the best optics you can get in spotting scopes. They're very well regarded for a very good reason. And Swarovski has taken that technology and added some a little bit of magic inside of these and taken it a next step further. And what makes these guys cool is the integration of integral mechanical stabilization. Essentially, they have gyroscopes packed into these guys that essentially make tripods essentially unnecessary for these, which up until now is almost unheard of on the market. And we actually had a chance to go out in the field with Swarovski, so check out what we got and try not to count how many times I say essentially. So we are out here at the beautiful K&M range in Finger, Tennessee, and we're getting a sneak peek at some pretty cool stuff. Specifically, we're going to be looking at the AT balance and ST balance, which is going to be a new offering in the spotter line from Swarovski Optic North America. We have the AT balance, which is specifically the angled version, and the ST, as you can guess, is of course the straight. The angled is going to come in an 18 to 45 by 65 model, and then the straight model is going to be a 14 to 35 by 50. These guys are going to come in at $39.99 for the angled and $38.49 for the straight. Some pretty cool stuff that's going on the inside of this guy is it's essentially taking 1,000 images per second to make sure you get the absolute most stable image possible, and you essentially get a lag-free image. I've been using this pretty extensively out here today. It is ridiculous when compared to, you know, just trying to handhold a traditional spotter, even for a small spotter. So as you can see, I have an iPhone hooked up to the VPA, hooked up to the ST balance here, and I've been using this thing to essentially film at I think we're at 1100, maybe even a little further at times, and I'm essentially getting images as if I'm on a tripod. The fact that you don't have to carry on an extra piece of equipment and be able to use something like this free-handed is insane. This guy still has the Swarovski technology that you've come to love over the years. Still absolutely unmatched clarity, color transmission, light transmission. You're getting absolutely no loss in image quality in this guy. And now, thanks to some camera magic, we are back in the Sport Optics studio, and let's get into a little bit more of the nitty-gritty of these guys. So in the straight, you're going to get a 14 to 35 by 50 objective size. And in the angled, it's an 18 to 45 by 65. So a little bit difference in magnification and form factor between the two. And the reason for that, the way Swarovski explained it to us, is they had to make the angled essentially a little bit bigger to make up for the size of that internal gyroscope. They couldn't make the angled in the same size and magnification range and still have room for that internal mechanism. So that's where that difference is coming from. I know I'm going to have questions about it. I myself was wondering. So just for your information, we had the VPAs hooked up to these guys using just regular iPhones. We were looking at targets as close as, you know, a few feet away on out. I think our farthest point we were playing with these guys at were about 1,200 yards or somewhere close to it. And we were hand holding it, you know, then you just like a normal spotter, it's a shaky image, unusable. And then you press this handy dandy little button right here on the back. You get a little green light that blinks once, and boom, steady image. no tripod, anything. We were hand holding, getting crystal clear, perfect images at, like I said, about 1,200 yards. And because it's a mechanical function and not a digital function, there was essentially no lag. You know, if you panned at all, did any kind of, you know, micro movements or whatever, generally speaking, you'll see some of the stabilized optics on the market. You get a little bit of a lag or like a floating effect. With these guys, none of that. The image was incredibly smooth. It was it's really something you have to see to believe. And another thing I'd like to mention, you know, if when you think mechanical stabilization or an internal mechanics that move, you might in your head you're like, ah, you know, maybe that's going to be a little on the fragile side. I got to be careful with bumps and bangs and drops. And while that may be true to an extent, you know, it's not going to be quite as robust as just a standalone something with very little moving parts. Swarovski did think about that, and they included a lockout feature in here, which is pretty cool. If the unit detects any rapid motion or drops or anything like that, you can see it in the LED. It's going to blink. You'll hear it lock, and it essentially locks that gyroscope. So if you do drop it, it's going to keep it from moving around or getting beat up or anything like that. So that's pretty darn cool. And really, I think that about covers the gist of the optic itself. It is battery powered. It's going to come with a battery. You're going to get about 12 hours of battery life, depending on, you know, your temperature, a few other ambient conditions. But 12 hours is pretty good. Something I would recommend considering is to have a spare, just to be safe. It certainly wouldn't hurt. They're not going to be a super expensive add-on, but something that I would consider to be worth having for sure. They're going to still work with the standard VPA that would work on the, you know, the ATS or ATX or any of those units. So you're going to be set there. And one more thing to consider, again, when talking about battery life, they do have a automatic shut-off feature. When the unit is idle for 5 minutes, it is going to shut off automatically, and you will have to manually turn it back on when you go to use it again. So that's going to help out with battery life as well, but just be aware, once it does turn off, you are going to have to turn it back on yourself. Again, if you are kind of wanting to stay within that miniature spotting scope space, that's kind of what's fitting your needs, then I think something like this is almost kind of a no-brainer. The standalone spotters are still excellent, obviously, and these are going to come at a little bit more of a premium, as you can imagine. But for something with the quality of optics in these Swarovski units, and as well as image stabilization, I think they're very fairly priced for what you're getting with these guys. And as of right now, they are available to order. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything, please make sure to reach out, give us a call. We will talk to you at length about these guys or anything else we offer here, and we're going to get you set up with exactly what you need. Now, with all of that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. I hope you made it to the end of the video. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed yourself. And if you did, make sure to like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Helps us out a ton against the YouTube overlords. And in the meantime, God bless. We'll see you on the next one.